This episode of the Beauty Industry podcast was brought to you by Timely, the world's smartest appointment booking software helping beauty and wellness businesses better manage their time, sanity, and ability to generate revenue. Hello and welcome to the Beauty Industry podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beauty Industry, Tamara Reid. Here we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beauty Industry. Today, my guest is Lisa Conway, Zing founder and kick-ass coach. Lisa Conway leads her team of coaches helping salon owners transform their business. With 30 plus years as a hairdresser and salon owner, hundreds of satisfied coaching clients, dozens of speaking engagements, and 3 books under her belt, she's given the hair and beauty industry quite the shake-up. People are standing up and taking notice, and she's only just begun. Lisa is known for her direct, no-nonsense approach for getting real and challenging people to step up and take control. She's worked the salon floor, led her own teams, made her own mistakes. But having known the benefits of business coaching firsthand, she now answers the call, sharing her know-how and firsthand experience with others. From Zing Coaching, today we welcome Lisa Conway.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Lisa, I've wanted to have this chat with you forever and a day since I very first heard you speak, actually only last year, 2019, at the Individuals conference that they had. And actually, no, I lie. It was before that. It was at Beauty and Spa Insiders that I saw you very first speak.
In Sydney.
And yeah. You were up there calling people dickheads and all of this kind of stuff if they discount. And I was like, who is this woman? I love her. I need her in my life and on my podcast. So I'm super excited to have you.
Very good. I'm glad I didn't scare you away with my dickhead language.
No, it's very up my alley. Lisa, we start our podcast every week in the same way with finding out when and how people who come on the podcast actually ended up in the role that they're in now. So we know you as Lisa Conway, Zing coach. You've got lots of coaches underneath you and you've got this beautiful, vibrant red hair and you're always telling it like it is. But how did you begin? I mean, where did your industry career start and how did you end up to where you are today?
Okay, well, that's probably 3 glasses of wine, but I'll give you the short version. I left high school because I just didn't really like high school. I think I was probably a kinesthetic learner, which means you'll need to touch it to do it. You know, if you can't see it, you can't have it. So I'm very visual in that way. So I just thought I got to get out of this place because it was year 11. I thought I've got to pass these exams. It's kind of crunch time. And my parents said, you can leave if you have a job. So I got the first job I could, which was in aged care. And I really loved it. Like I've always loved people, but I knew that wasn't something that I could do forever. I just thought, don't see it as much as a career. Not that I was looking for a career. I just wanted to get married and have children, basically. Grew up in a big Catholic family of 9 kids and I don't know, we weren't really pushed into careers as the girls in the family. And I thought, you know what, maybe I was always good with my hands. I could sew, I could cook. But I thought, don't know about those things as a career because I lived in a really small country town. So I thought, what about hairdressing? You know, I thought I had this one experience where I went into a salon when I was about 19 in Elizabeth Street and just blew me away, the way I felt. This girl really listened to me, and I talk about that in my first book, The Naked Salon. Like I just thought, wow, this is amazing. Like imagine doing that for a living, making people feel and look beautiful. So that was it. I went home to my mum and I said, what if I wanted to be a hairdresser? And she said, well, you could. You'd have to go to the city. And I thought, I don't really want to do that. And she said, well, it's only for a year. So I did, packed up, went to the city, became a hairdresser, and I was 19 when everybody else in the group was 15, 16. So I was kind of like mature. And then I struggled to get a job, but I got my first job with a bloke called Sam, and I stayed with him for 16 years. Loved it, just loved people. I really could have done anything with people. It didn't actually have to be hairdressing, but I love the stories. I love people's stories in their lives. And I think what I loved about hairdressing is they came back and told you how the wedding went, and then they came back and when they were pregnant, and then they came back and, showed you the second child. And it was just, I don't know, it was just a really nice thing. And then I wanted to be closer to my children because I was travelling 45 minutes. I lived in the country just outside of Melbourne in Gisborne, and I was travelling backwards and forwards, and that was a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest. And I remember one day my daughter, the school rang and I had to go home and get her, finish the haircut and go home and get her, and she just had a tiff with her girlfriend. I thought, oh, this is rubbish. I need to be closer to the kids. And I think Tess was 9 and the twin boys were 8. And so it was a time the GST was coming in, and there was businesses closing because they didn't really want to declare the correct amount of taxes. And I remember looking in this shop window, and it was like a really small space, and I thought, I'll just work there by myself. That'll be good. And if I could make the same amount of money in 5 days that I did for Sam in 3, that was it. And that was pretty piss poor when I think about it, but that was my business plan. And then it just grew and people came, and because I had such a lovely way with people, I'm a bit of a hoot, and I just know how to talk plumber talk and then talk parent talk and then talk old people's talk. And so I just had a very rounded personality, and I think you get that when you grow up in the country. So people just kept coming, and I thought, I had this division in the salon, and I had a really big back room for the kids, and I'd pull that out and make the back room tiny. And then I ended up getting up to about 4, I think, on team. And then I thought, this is a bit of a shit show. Like, I'm working my little tush off here. And even though I was making really good money, I just had no life. I just was dragging the towels home every night like Santa Claus with a sack. And I just thought, it's got to be easier. Plus, I felt like my marriage was falling apart. And I thought, I don't know anything about the back end. My husband was a maths teacher, and I used to just take the money home and say, here's the money. And he'd say, good, you do all the back end. And I just raised the team members. And so I just worked out that was not going to last. And I'd actually stopped loving what I was doing, and I was feeling a bit like burnt. And I thought, well, what else do I do? I don't know what else I want to do, because I loved some of it and hated some of it. So I got my first business coach, and I just thought, wow, everybody should know this. This is unbelievable. If you just change this bit here and you learn about your average dollar sale. And for the first time, I realised that I was making all the money, and I realised some services weren't making money and we weren't selling retail. And I just had a really big awakening. And then I just thought, I'd love to teach this to other people. And Bruce was a general purpose coach, and I thought, no, I don't want to teach a plumber. I don't know anything about plumbing. And he said, well, you could niche and just teach hair and beauty salon owners. And I thought, really? Could I? He goes, absolutely. You'd be so good at it. And Bruce and I got on so well, we actually got a salon together in the city in Paran.
Right.
I only had it for a couple of years, and I didn't work in that one, and it wasn't a joy. Not like the first one was like my firstborn. And as much as we made money and we sold it for a good profit and stuff, it just wasn't my joy. By then I'd got my hands into coaching, and I started with a couple of clients, and I just taught them, and I couldn't believe it. They just, like me, they just took to it like a duck to water and loved me for it. And the rest is kind of history then. And I just started to work my way and find clients, which is the hardest thing to do. That's so hard. The coaching part's easy. You can do that with one arm tied behind my back. But the finding clients, because I had no sort of reputation. I wasn't a cutter on stage, and I hadn't done anything publicly. I just had a great little income and loved being with my kids. So, yeah, I had a lot of work to do. So that's kind of that's the short version.
Very, very cool. I love what you said there. I mean, I don't love it, but I think it will resonate with so many of our audience, is that you were doing the job, taking the money, and then kind of not having that mindfulness of how much your income is, how much you're bringing in, giving it to your husband. But it takes a lot of business owners, and women in particular in our industry, to break up with their husband or realize, actually, maybe there's something life-changing or awakening here, that I actually need to understand the financials of my business. And generally it is that breakup, because then they go, oh shit, I've just given them all the money and now I don't know what to do with it. How did you feel in that moment? And was there something that kind of triggered you to do that? And when you did realize the financials, did you wish that you had knew that earlier?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I could have made so much more money. And I think it was back in the day when people did pay in cash as well. So, there was, I call it windy money that got blown into a back pocket somewhere. There was a bit of windy money, but it was really silly because I was buying, a pair of shoes for $150 instead of a pair of shoes for $50 on sale. And that's because you had the money. So I actually wasn't planning for the future. I wasn't putting enough super away. So it was just silly. And I because I work so hard, I thought, well, I'm entitled to have these $150 pair of shoes, buying clothes I didn't need. And so I had to have a really good look at myself and to see, that I was getting old. I think I was about 40. I think that's often a time when people start to realise that they've got more days behind them than ahead of them. So I think for all of us, we start to really understand that we aren't going to be here forever. So I actually bought a property instead and bought an investment property instead. And then that kept me honest because I had to pay the mortgage and stuff like that. And look, my husband just did a great job. I wasn't interested. It wasn't that he didn't want me to know. I didn't even care. I couldn't give a rat's, And he'd try and tell me stuff. And then, there was so much like he'd teach me about the profit and loss. And I'd look in there and I'd go, well, that's rubbish. I haven't spent $8,000 on stock. And he'd say, well, you have, because in August you spent $8,000. I go, I'm telling you, we spend $4,000, not $8 a month.
Right.
But what had happened was he'd paid 2 bills in 1 month, and then the month before the bill didn't get paid for $4,000. So all it caused was arguments. And so what I learnt to do was set things up in a more direct debit way and siphon money across so that every bill that came, I just looked in there and there it was. It was like having a cookie jar in the kitchen, only it was called a bank account. So when you do that, you're never frightened of anything. Whereas, you get the mail and you think, I'm going to open this bloody thing with a window in it. Won't be good.
Yeah.
So teaching that, and that's what I teach to people now. And I think one of the loveliest compliments we get now as coaches is a husband will poke his head into the Zoom when you're doing a session. He goes, don't know what you've done to the missus, but she's happiest she's ever been. Oh, that's so sweet. Because often I get the husbands in, and predominantly we do work with women. And in the beginning, I say, what does your husband think about you talking to me? And he goes, oh, he's not really keen. I go, well, can you get him in the meeting? And often he goes, oh, he doesn't want to. And I can hear him in the room. I go, I'd really like to meet you. And then he can't say no. And give me 20 minutes. And he goes, yep, you can have her, because she's not listening to me. And so what's really lovely about that is I say there's English, there's French, there's Italian, and then there's hairdresser and beauty speak. And it's kind of different. And the husbands are trying to help them by saying, well, you should do this and you should do that. But they never tell them actually why or how. And so the wife just goes, well, shut up, and then nothing happens. And I was a bit the same with my husband. He's trying to tell me things that I wouldn't listen to, that the business coach told me that I listened to, and it changed my life, So it's just kind of how it works. And I think it's like your mum trying to tell you things, whereas your girlfriend tells you and you listen to your girlfriend. So it's kind of, you can't coach friends and family. You really can't. People think they can, but you just can't. And I think one of the things I learned very early was to say these 3 things. Do you want me to listen? Which means I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to listen, right? Do you want me to coach you out of this situation? Or do you want me to go in and kill him? Because I can do it all, and it's the same with your children. Do you want me to listen to you? So you're just airing your graces. Do you want me to coach you and tell you how to deal with this bully at school? Or do you want me to go and knock his block off? Because I can actually do all 3. And so when you do that, you can work out, is this person in a place to be coached? And if it's friends and family, mostly they're not.
Interesting. What I love about you, and you mentioned just this before, so I think I'm going back a little, but you were actually a stylist for 15 years before you were 25. Oh my goodness, even better. Before you were the manager, before you were the business owner.
I worked for Sam for 16 years. Yeah.
Incredible. And I think especially nowadays, and perhaps this kind of shift will change now with everything that we're going through, but people want to, be the manager before they've been the therapist. They want to be the business owner before they've been the manager. And of course, we look at the receptionist and go, oh, her job's easy. She flits in and out. She answers a few phone calls. She goes home. It's all la-di-da, right? But you took quite a long time. I mean, 16 years, you said, that's not an overnight, all of a sudden I'm a manager. Firstly, why did you take such a long time, and kind of what did you find about that transition from going from being somebody on the floor into being that manager and then further being the business owner?
Yeah, really interesting. And I think people do everything faster now than they've ever done before. But in the time when I was looking for a job, like we're going back, I say when Jesus played fullback for Collingwood, right, a long time ago. So it was 1985, I think. And it was really difficult to get a job as a hairdresser. There was hairdressers everywhere. And I always say if you kicked a bush out, jumped a hairdresser, they were everywhere. Right? Where now they're not. So if you apply for a job, you pretty much can get it. Whereas back then, I can remember sitting and there was a chainsaw Carl of Switzerland, and there was me and about 15 other beautiful girls that were very young wanting the same job, like imagine that today. Hard to believe. And so Sam took me on when I had no skills. I just looked the part. That's as simple as that. And I'd done a full-time course, which people frown down upon. But back then I actually knew what I was doing. I just didn't have the people skills really, and I didn't know how to do anything that wasn't standard textbook stuff. So Sam took me on, and I'm a pretty loyal person. If I like you, I like you, and if I don't, I don't. It's pretty black and white with me. And Sam took me on, and I had no idea what I was doing. Like I can remember ringing, there was 2 salons in this shopping centre, and I used to ring up this girl Rosa and say, I don't know what to do with this lady's hair. Can you come past and have a look? And she used to walk in with an armful of black towels down to the back of the salon, and she'd look at the salon and I'd say, I want to put on this. I don't know. Is it going to cover the greys? Do I do half and half or do a 3/4? And Rose used to walk past and she used to do what we called radar observations. She'd just look across and she'd go, and then I'd meet her in the back room. She goes, yeah, put 30 grams and 30 grams or whatever she'd tell me. And I did it. Like I had no idea what I was doing. But Sam had no idea. He didn't give a shit as long as I was a nice person and showed up on time and stuff. So I really had to learn my trade by myself and pretend that I knew it, because today that just wouldn't happen. We were just, in you go, no flippers, no snorkel, get in the pool, and if you drown, oh, well, we'll get another one. It was really terrible. So I had a huge respect for people who actually train people, because I didn't ever want that to happen. And then I sort of worked my way up. I moved to another one of his stores in another shopping centre, and I wanted to move there, and he said, no, you can't go there unless we want someone who's really good at hair up. I said, oh, I'm really good at hair up. He goes, are you? I said, yeah. I wasn't. I just made it up, and we couldn't even Google stuff back then. So I just thought I can do this, and I did. So then, because I started to train people, he said, do you want to be the manageress, because she was having a baby? Like it was just terrible the way we choose people to be leaders in our business, not because they got the skill, it's because they've been around the longest or the boss's favourite. Rubbish. So then I just started to once again learn and started to run the team. There was end up about 12, and they had no idea. It was just like a dog's breakfast. It was the best fun you'd ever had at work. Really wasn't very efficient. And then I got actually jack of that, because I felt like there was no structure. We never even had a team meeting. And I wanted to leave. I thought, nah, I've had enough. I want to work in my sister's dress shop. And Sam said, no, you can't leave. You're my best. And I said, well, it's just rubbish, And he said, well, what if I send you away and retrain you? Because I'd kind of lost my joy. So he sent me to this Weller course, and it was called Train the Trainer. And that was a really great turning point for me. My twins were 2, so I had to get a babysitter. Sam paid for that and did everything to keep me. So because it wasn't until I left and got my own team that I thought, no wonder he loved me. Like I just did my job. I was the most fun. Like I always was in a good mood. I always looked gorgeous. I really valued my appearance, showed up on time, worked 3 days a week, made as much money as anyone else did in 5. Like I just did it. Like I was this octopus, and the girls used to tease me because they'd say, don't stand still, Lisa will have you rinsing a colour and applying one. Like I had this yes mentality. I just said yes to everyone, and then I find someone to do the job. And I didn't realise that not everybody can do that. I was really good at doing that. I don't know why I was. I think my father was a bit of a like that too. He always, if you're standing around, he gave you a job, So it wasn't until I got my own salon that I realised that, wow, this is really interesting, because some couldn't get to work on time. I think, what's wrong with you? It's we start at 9 o'clock every day. It's not like we we've moved it, what's your problem? So I really was struggling to get people on side because Sam talked to me very bluntly and I took it. Like, my dad would say, switch the light off, you idiots. What, kids putting the lights on? And just yelled at you. And we just thought that was talking. Really no. And then we had, a new generation who don't want to be spoken to like that. And rightly so. But I just thought, what are you doing, you dickhead? And I would say that, and Sam would say that to me, and we just laugh and do the job. So I had a huge learning curve, and I probably looked over team members because they were too timid and too quiet, who in the later years I learnt to nurture them differently and got great team members out of them. So, I had to learn to be a better boss, really did. And I just thought one size fit all, and it didn't. It was a real big learning curve.
Yes, I had the same epiphany as that as well. I came from working on cruise ships, so it's like military precision, and you're spoken to like that. Go take your break, don't be late, da da da, and you're working literally 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night. 16 days straight at sea, and then I came back and I went straight into working with doctors and nurses. And again, it's blunt, and my dad's the same as that. Why, don't put the heater on, go put another jumper on, go put some moccasins on, don't turn anything on, the exact same. So that's the way I always spoke to people. And then I went into day spa, and all these girls are resigning left, right, and center, saying that I'm a bitch and they hate me. And, there's
like kicking the heads off daisies.
Yeah. And there's team meetings going on with the business owner and the therapist. And I'm going, how come I'm not involved in these team meetings? Because the problem was me, right? But that's so interesting that you realize that even when you kind of went into that business owner part yourself, but then I guess, how did you transition? Because for me, I was kind of like, all right, these girls are soft and I'm just going to have to be really, really soft. So then that's all I kind of learned how to do. But did you study anything, or how did you figure out that transition?
Yeah, look, the greatest thing was Bruce, my coach, and he would say to me, and I use this all the time, and I'd say, okay, so what you're doing is not working, right? Let's be clear. Yes. No, it's not working. I can't find team members. Okay. All right. Are you prepared to change? Yes, of course I am. Okay. So can you lower your voice and stop being so frustrated? You think, well, I suppose I could. Like you have to own it first. So if you don't own it, nothing will change. And so for me, I had to learn that the thing about my personality and your personality is we won't keep those people very long because they're so driven and they want to climb their own ladder or climb their own mountain.
Yes.
But what I learned about the gentle, quiet ones is if you spend time with them, they're quite timid, and so you've got something they want and they've got something you want. So if you go back to when I was working with Sam, I had no idea what I was doing. So I needed something from Sam. I needed to learn a trade from him. And so in return, he needed something from me. So there was this wonderful exchange. So if you start working with, and I call gentle, quietly spoken people, they're like golden retrievers, So if you know anything about dogs, a golden retriever, you can't growl at them because they are so offended. They'll not want to come back for the next anything. Whereas if you've got a foxy dog or a blue heeler or a cattle dog, they're just persistent. And so you've got to kind of work out early in the piece, what kind of dog are we working with here? I'm a working dog. And if you tell me to go way back, you're an idiot, you should be doing that, I go, okay, all right, thanks for the command. That was really good. The best thing you can do is give me feedback. Some of them aren't like that. And so Bruce just kept saying to me, you're the problem, right? Because you're the only person in charge of your business. And so as much as I didn't want to learn it, I was prepared to change. And that's the main difference. I have people that will argue that what I'm teaching them doesn't work. And I go, good, well, then go back to what you're doing because it doesn't work. So why are you here? Why are you paying me to give you a lesson that you're not going to do? Just go away, keep doing what you're doing. You'll save yourself a couple $100 a week. So, smacking is really important. So I praise really hard, but I also smack hard. But you've got to get permission to do it. So you can say, well, look, out of 10, how are you feeling today? And they'll say, 2. Oh, what happened? Why are you feeling a 2? Oh, because this happened and that happened. And you think, okay, well, now's not the day. If they go, I'm a 10, you go, right, would you like this information just unfiltered, or would you like it with a bit of sparkle on it? And once you build that rapport and a person trusts you, then they know that you're just delivering it because it saves time. Like, do you want to fluff around here? It's like, children today, what colour ice cream do you want? Do you want a blue one or a pink one? And I'm thinking, oh, the kid's lucky to be getting an ice cream. Sit in the car, I'll be back with 2 ice creams, done. But I realise that people want to buy in and make choice. And so one size does not fit all, and you've got to understand that you don't want everybody like me. Like you and I, Tamara, we'd have to do different parts of the same company because we'd clash. You think you're doing it the right way, and I think I'm doing it the right way. So why would you want a team full of people like you and me? Because it doesn't work. You need people that are gentle and quiet. You need people that are, need nurturing. You need people that are confident in one area and not so much in another. And when I've looked and done studies of salons that have got incredible teams and they just work and respect each other, and even the same I noticed in neighbourhoods, because I'm a real people watcher, is mix works. Like if you've got all of your neighbours are the same age with the same age kids, it's not going to work, right? You need a couple of old grandmas in there. You need someone who's just renting for the first time, or a new married family. And it's the same in your business. You need a mixture, and that's why they work, because they are a combination of. So the first thing I had to do is stop looking for people like me, because I'm just going to clash with them. Start looking for people that aren't like me, who have all the strengths that I don't have. And that was a really valuable lesson. So, I like to find people who are very detailed, because they can do the stuff that I don't want to do for a million years. And they don't want to do what I do. I want to be the front of the pointy triangle. I want to be the person on stage. I want to be the one doing the podcasts, where those gentle, quietly people, they want to give you the questions so that you're ready for the podcast, So there's a mixture. And I think that's realising that we're all different for a reason. And if you can, nurture and collect all of the people that are what you aren't, you're really going to get somewhere in life.
Yeah, and I guess this comes back to knowing your team so intimately that when you do go down that recruitment pathway, you know what personality or behavioral type is going to fit in, so that you don't put, that cattle dog in with a flock of pigeons and then shit hits the fan and then all the therapists are leaving like I did, I guess a lot of business owners perhaps, well now, but they used to before, not have the time. And to me, I kind of always just put that down to BS, because if you don't understand your team, then what do you have the time to do, right? After the break, Lisa shares with us the magic of how to win back lost clients, and 2, why she decided to put her coaching content into reading material. But first, a word from today's beauty partner. Community, you know all too well how pro I am about all things online booking and working smarter, not harder in 2020, and our friends at Timely help you to do just that. Timely is a powerful booking and business management software for businesses of any size and ambition. Designed to help you save hours on admin, deliver exceptional client experience, establish a much-loved brand and grow your revenue with over 500 software updates every year, Timely is always on a mission to help you get the best from your business. Timely works beautifully with Tyro, Xero, QuickBooks, MailChimp, Square, Google Calendar, and more. So why not join over 40,000 global Timely customers today? If you've been thinking about making the switch from pen and paper or want to test a new salon software system, visit www.gettimely.com to start a free 14-day trial. The Timely team has an exclusive offer for the listeners of today's episode, where you get 50% off Timely for your first 2 months. It's such an incredible offer by using the promo code Tamara20. That's Tamara and the number 20. Thank you so much to the team at Timely for making this episode possible. And now, back to Lisa.
The thing that we teach at Zing is time, team and money. And the reason we teach it in that way is if you don't find time to work with your team, you won't make any money. You won't. Not any substantial money, not any ongoing, People talk passive income. No such thing. That's the biggest bullshit sentence in your life. Nothing is passive. If you work your ass off beforehand, you might get a trickle of, but you still need to keep an eye on it. So there's no such thing as passive. But if you've got 5 or more team members and you actually don't physically have to go into the business and you can mentor and coach them with your voice, then I think that's passive. But it's not, there's no such thing as a free lunch, I don't think. You've still got to have your finger on the pulse. And at any point when you're dealing with women in the ages of, 20 to 35, that's a childbearing year. So at any point you can have someone want to leave and live in another state because the husband's taken a job or they are having a baby, or, a lot of times we lose team members through no fault of our own. So you really need to be looking for the next team member before you actually need them. And most people don't do that. And in the climate that we've been in, hopefully it's going to change, but there's actually nobody coming to your jobs much, So if you get 2 applicants, you're pretty excited, and then you've got to get them to show up to the interview. So we've been, making a silk purse out of a sow's ear, which is what we've had to do. So I'm hoping that, everyone that we ever mentor knows what they'd like if they had a choice. Like imagine you were going on Tinder and there's only one application. That'd be pretty scary. Like at least you get to flick through hundreds of ones that you don't want, But we've been making the best out of an ordinary situation. But what I will say is when you become a better boss, it's this miraculous thing that happens and people start to show up. It's fascinating. It's when you've decided that, this is going to be the solution and there will be people out there and it's just a matter of time. Then bing, you get the email and you think, isn't that amazing? Whereas when you keep saying there's nobody out there, I'll watch this thing and she can't find you and they've got a salon and they can't find one and I just saw that one and that. And I think, what, you're gathering a pile of it's bullshit, it doesn't work. Why don't you gather a pile of actually it does work, And so the only person you need to work on is yourself. And everything else will fall into place. But most people aren't prepared to do that because it's pretty confronting. And that was my lesson. I had to learn that I had to be a better boss. Simple.
Yeah, same. And that's the difference between, those business owners who are turning away applicants because they've got a wait list this long for therapists who are banging down their door. Oh, I'd love to work at XYZ Day Spa because they're incredible, And if you're a business owner who doesn't have that long list of applicants, ask yourself why. It's not the color of the walls. It's not the products that you use. It's not the team members that you have. It's generally starts from the top down, and it is that leadership. I want to go back to the start of Zing coaching. As you mentioned before, you went and you kind of niched yourself into the hair and beauty industry, and you were talking about how difficult it was to get your name out there because you weren't, this kind of entrepreneur, famous hairdresser or anything like that. Who was your first client? Do you remember? And how did you kind of build up the traction that, almost everyone in the hair and beauty industry now knows the name Zing?
Oh, that's nice. I don't think they do, because when I present on stage, one of the questions I always do in the feedback form is, have you heard of Zing? And I'm shocked at how many people don't.
Truly.
Whereas I think I'm like poo in a paddock everywhere. But anyway, and we do, look, there's so much more work we need to do. The first client was a girl in the next town. So how did I know her? She used to come to me for a haircut, actually. She had very curly hair, and I have curly hair, so she'd come to me because she wanted a haircut from me, whereas she had a couple of team members that weren't very good cutters. So I got to know her. And then she just said, you're always busy. How do you do this? My salon's quiet. And I said, well, actually, I had a coach, blah, blah, blah. So I coached her, I think, and I don't think I even took any money off her. I can't remember. But she had this huge self-worth problem, and I remember helping her with that, putting her prices up and stuff like that. And I don't know what happened to her in the end. I think she sold, or the marriage ended or something, so wasn't a truly lasting success story. And then I did this thing years and years ago called worldwide salon marketing, and some of your old listeners will be going, rolling their eyes. It was the first time they sort of taught people how to market. So it was like before Groupon or anything, and it was about this $99 Hollywood woman special, and you'd come in and you'd get everything, including the kitchen sink, for $99, which was normally $380. So what it did was it got people coming into our salons, and it was the first time that we were doing something sort of public rather than word of mouth, which word of mouth is just a lazy word for actually I do nothing. So I started doing that, and it was a company out of Perth, and was the first time they did coaching calls in groups, and there was hundreds of people on it. And so it's a real shame, because there was one girl on there, Jill, who I loved, and then there was another bloke called Greg, which I wasn't a big fan of, and he's still around today. But they taught me that there was a bigger world than just the little neighbourhood that I did. So the phone would ring and the girls would say, oh, someone from your salon from Tulumbaruk. And I think, oh, okay. And she goes, is that true? Did you get 15 new clients from that ad? And I go, yeah. And I'm thinking, how'd you get my number? Because they would advertise as I was the poster girl. I was the pin-up girl. So I had a coach at the time. I was doing this at the same time. So Bruce was working me through the mental capacity and they were doing the marketing side. And I always think, well, we can market to clients all you like, but if you get, we say to clients, I've got 5 clients a week. And if we get you to get 10, but you having the same service level and strategy, you'll lose 10. So what's the point? And that's why I say to people, go to a marketing company, but you're still not going to fix the problem because you're just going to leak them out the back door. So because I had Bruce teaching me on my service level and all of that, and I had this marketing, that's why I was rocking it. So people started to ask me, strangers, and I thought, wow, Bruce kept saying to me, and I had a problem with self-esteem, very hard to believe today, but I just didn't think that I could do that. And so, look, it was hard yakka. And in the beginning, I didn't have one document. I would just talk to them and go, what are you doing, you dickhead? You should do it like this. And they go, thank you, and off they'd go. But you can't really run a coaching company at scale when you are the only person doing it. So that's when I first got noticed. And then Bruce was teaching me how to, write a letter or do a script or stuff. And I just started dropping off flyers in the local, went into the city. And I remember getting my first salon in St Kilda and I thought, oh my God, this is like a grown-up salon. Why would they want me, this country mouse, to coach them? And he just did a great job and we're still mates, So I soon realised that everybody was the same. And I thought these city salons must be so much more sophisticated or intelligent, and they actually weren't. I could not believe the amount of hair and beauty salons that looked the goods and they had brown bank accounts. Absolutely shocked me. People, and I still see it today, winning awards and photo shoots and all that, and I think they're like peacocks, they've got these fancy big feathers at the front that's all colour, and you think, oh, I'm such a big knob and I'm on social media, and then they, like the peacock, it, wobbles and turns around the back and you think, oh, the back end's a bit ordinary. and goes the other way too. You have some salons that, in the early days I used to drive to a salon. You drive to the salon, you think, and how you get that feeling where you're in a neighbourhood, you should be locking your doors. You think, lock your doors, that lady looks a bit dodgy, and he's a bit weird. And then you'd pull up and go in and you start talking and they'd show you what they'd earn in a week and you think, holy snapping, amazing. Like, it looks like a shit show here. And they're making incredible money because their service was wonderful and their clients were loyal. So, fascinating. And what I realised, and it probably took me a good few years to really understand that there is not a person that I couldn't teach. Not a salon clinic. I couldn't care how many injectables you do or what laser equipment you've got or whatever fancies. There is nobody that I haven't taught. And lost clients is like my hat trick. I just think not many people truly understand and know what to do with the clients that are leaking out the back door. And that's a game changer for people. If you can continue just to put those same 10 clients in a week, and like if you're doing 80 clients a week and in 10 weeks' time you're still doing 80, you have a whole people. So just to have the courage to ring a client and say, why'd you leave? And they can do it in many ways, but most salon owners, and you have a look on their Facebook pages, they hide. They show you everything except their faces. And the reason I built the brand as I am is because I had to get over myself and I had to put myself out. And once I found Facebook, I was off. And it's funny because I'm so comfortable on the camera when I've got this footage of the first couple of times and I look like a beetroot or I'm sweating. It was at a I was doing in Bali and the girl who was training me, she was my coach's sister, and she is the most watched person in China. She does these cooking shows.
Wow.
She's smacking me going, you're useless. She goes, you put the camera on and you just turn into this blubbering idiot. What is wrong with you? I said, I don't know. It was just terrible, but I just kept going and persevering and showed people what I thought was good, and they'd go, oh, that's shit. And I'd go, oh, really? That took me 47 goes. Then I had this epiphany one day. One of the coaches, Jay, I said to him about lives. I said, why do you do lives? He said, do you know why I do lives, Lise? One take, done. 3 minutes, you're out of the room. He said, how long does it take you to film one? I go, about 47 goes. He said, exactly. So he goes, just do it live, and what happens, happens. And it's funny, people like the real, raw version of you. Fascinating. Like sometimes I drop the camera or, the thing's leaning and it's going down like this and I go, God, I'm squashed. What's going on here? Just straighten it up. And they're the ones you get the most comments from. Fascinating. So they actually don't want the polished you. They want the real you, which luckily for me is pretty easy to do. So, and I say to people, just get over yourself, dickhead. Just get over yourself. Stop listening to how you can't and start asking proper questions like, who do I need to meet or who has my answer? Go find it. Don't spend your time. It's like when you're a kid, you think, oh, maybe I'll say I couldn't do my homework because this, and you spend 20 minutes trying to father up a bloody reason why you haven't done your homework, which if you did your homework, it probably took you 15. Done.
Yeah, I love that.
It's like the most important person you need to listen to is you. What's the story that you tell yourself? And that's when people say, oh, I can't do that and it won't work. I go, well, why are you here? And I'm lucky because people pay me so I can smack them for that. I go, what are you paying me for? Go, keep your money. And then they fight to hang in. It's hilarious. Whereas in the early days, I wasn't like that. I was so scared a client would leave and I needed their money, because I needed to survive. When in the end, I go, piss off, because I got someone else who's I can give my skills to. So now I screen really hard. And that's probably one of our greatest successes. I say to who you work with is important, but who you choose not to is far more important. So that's kind of how we work around it. And I'm 56 next birthday. So you get into that stage. I remember saying to one of my kids, I can't wait till I get older when I can just say it how it is. And my daughter said, there's more? I said, oh, okay.
Just you wait.
Just you wait. I said, I'm going to be terribly behaved in my 80s.
I'm interested to hear how you kind of started out when you were a business owner doing those low barrier to entry kind of marketing and deals and things like that. And now, as I mentioned earlier, you say to people, don't discount your retail, don't discount, And you talked about the kind of foundations of Zing being time, team, and money. What does a general kind of Zing coaching pathway look like, and why are you so adamant on the not discounting?
Yeah, so lots of questions there. I don't believe in discounting because to me it's either full price or it's free. So if I think about, am I going to do my mum's hair, am I going to charge her full price? No, I'm going to charge her free, right? So there's opportunities to do it in a training session or someone else can do it. I gave up my scissors and doing any hair long time ago. I think because I had twin boys that had identical heads, although they're not identical twins, but everybody trained on them, and they said, oh, Mum, can I just have a haircut like a normal person, sitting there for an hour having a haircut. So, my dear friend has passed away now, but the local butcher, Neil, everyone practiced on Neil's hair. Like you have your family being an advantage to us, instead of you doing them. And so, all of those sort of things. So I just think my sister who had a clothing store, she said, no, full price, it's free, which was wonderful before I started. Now, I think you can gift something to get someone as a client. I think that's different. And I also had a great strategy around, which I still teach now, which is, if you were to recommend someone, you get $50 off their first appointment, perhaps, depending on who it is, might be 30, could be 100, depending on what you're doing. And then $100 off the person who recommended it, because your A-grade clients actually know who their best customers are. So that is a discount as such, but it's a promotion. So discounting for the sake of you've been loyal to me and coming for 10 years, so you get a discount. Like,
yes,
$5, $10, it's not going to change that person's life, but add it up against you, it absolutely will change your life. And I find that the older clientele do that more. I'm working with one at the moment, a serial discounter, lovely bloke about my age, and he's really learning some serious lessons. So that's the first question. So I say no, because it flushes out your self-worth. I never discounted. And I think I always had clients coming out my bum. I never never worried about it, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
because I had such a wonderful way with people that they came for the entertainment as much as they came for the haircut. And so that was easy. So I never discounted. And my father was always a great believer, and he had great self-worth too. He goes, look at this, I just charged this much and this bloke played it. You know, it was like a game, you know. So that's that part. No, look, our average client is about 16 months. And that's because we factor in some that we take on that aren't suitable. You know, some are just not suitable. They say all the right things. It's hard to screen some people because they'll say, oh, no, I'm going to do the work and I'm going to do this and it matters to me. And then they don't do it. And so we just all go, you know. So if you take those out, it's, you know, up to 2 years or more. Like we just think, and even that's old. We have another model now, which is like a boardroom. So we just believe if you've got a business and we show 4 times the return on investment. So if your coaching package is $250 a week, which is where our entry level is, if that's what it is, we've got to show you $1,000 a week growth in your business, right? So it's a no-brainer. So we're looking to see where we can do it. And if we can't do it, we don't take you on. And we're screening for people who start their sentences with, I know, but in my area it's different, you know. So you think, okay, well, in my area it's different. You let that one slide. Yeah. That's an education. But people who start their sentence with, I know, well, if you're so bloody smart, why are you here? You know, we tied it up a little bit for people we don't know that well, but it's the same sort of thing. So, you know, I think our audience is really loyal, and I think when you look on social media and stuff, you very rarely see anyone saying, I had one girl recently, and I didn't even answer her because I thought, really, you know, she tried Zing once and it wasn't for her, she said. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. And I could have said so many things about it, but I'm not going to say it. I know her personal life. I know about her marriage and her relationship, and the fact that her husband was funding everything that she did, and she was nothing but a spoiled private school brat. And the husband said, well, she won't get rid of it and it's bleeding me money and I just wish she'd stay home and mind the kids. But she had another agenda. So, you know, like, what do you say? But that's very rarely, and that's because we cull them out. And when she wasn't doing her work, I said, all right, we want your husband in the meeting. And she said, I don't want him in the meeting. I said, well, then we're not coaching you. So she got him in the meeting and he said, well, you try and work with her. She doesn't listen to me. So, and I just said, it just doesn't work for us. And so she, you know, she tried us and it didn't work. Really? No, you didn't. You didn't try us at all. You wanted us to give you a silver bullet, and that will never work, right? So, yeah, I think to me, I've got a coach. We'll always have a coach. I do it in a bit of a different way now because I don't really need, you know, in the beginning they need someone to say, all right, do 1, 2 and 3 and come back to me when it's done. Well, I don't need that now. You know, I meet my coach every 4 months for 2 whole days. We write up the whole what I've got to do before I go back and I get that shit done. Simple. He doesn't have to check in on with me, but now I'm with peers, right? So that's the latest layer of Zing now is we've got what we call the boardroom. And the same with them. They don't need us to smack them on the bottom and say, do your homework. No, we're way past that now. It's like university. We are working with people who are entrepreneurial thinking, and they're not in there. It's an invitation to get into the boardroom, and they're just, you know, what's really lovely is there are salons all across the nation and New Zealand who just want to be with people like them, you know, and that's what it's about. So it's really an entrepreneur's mindset, and that's where, for the most part, they're not entrepreneurs. They've bought themselves a job and then they bring in their mates. And it's, you know, like me, I like her. She can work here. Can she cut it? I don't know, but we'll work it out, you know. So yeah, I'm no judgment there because I broke every rule there was, right? You know, like I would hire people because they looked good and then they were snitchy bastards. So I soon learned that was rubbish. I needed to hire good people and then teach them how to show up and look good, you know, which is the easy part. So, yeah, lots of learnings along the way, but wouldn't have it any other way. Tamara, I just loved it, you know.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I wanted to ask you what the longevity of your clients were, because I think now everybody wants things yesterday, and everybody's hanging on to the hope that there is, you know, in your own words, a silver bullet. And if I go with this coach, they're going to give me this many clients. So if I go with this coach, they're going to make X amount of money. And I think there are a lot of coaches out there who are, you know, doing social media marketing ads and bits and pieces and selling the world of promise. business. And I was even speaking to, a few people last week, and they said, oh, I've got 5 different coaches. I'm with this person, this person, this person, this person. And I think, what are you getting out of this? And it just, Yes, and that's exactly why I wanted to ask you, like, what is the longevity and what does your program look like? Because I think, for people like yourself, and we're kind of doing almost a bit of a coaches series here. I'm speaking to all of the coaches in these episodes, but I really want to find out it's successful coaches like you guys who are, keeping this industry turning over, and you're hanging on to clients. You're not over promising and under delivering and selling all of these promises. It's actual real work. And I love that it's the foundations of the business, the time.
And it's exactly right. And it's really between your head. Like, I remember Bruce saying to me, why have you had so much success? He was my first coach. He was an action coach, when some of my other clients don't. And I said, you just change the way I think, and then everything else will fall into place. Like, if you keep looking for what's the message in this mess, what's the critical thinking I need to do? Like, every shit idea started out as a good one at some point. Yes. So it's just critical thinking. It's about constantly listening to books and audios. And I get annoyed. Like, people sometimes say to me, we should call it mentoring because business coaching's got such a bad name. And I think, no, I'm not changing it. It's actually, it's a true version of as business coach. It's not a program, People go, well, how many weeks? And I think, well, you've taken 13 years to get into this knot. Why do you think I could unravel it in 8 weeks? And I think that's why you're either drawn to my matter-of-factness or you're not. And I'm happy with either, because I can't be everybody to everybody. I can't. I can only be me. And so when you find your match, whoever that is, right, then it's going to work. The only thing I will say is I have people come to me and they've had that coach, and that coach. And I say, well, why would I be any different? And I think the main difference with us in the early stage is accountability. And when you've not done your work, we'll sack you. And we do sack them. Like, I watched one of my coaches did a group the other day and there was 6 on the screen. And I said to her, why is that girl not have her photo, her face? She's got just her name in a black screen. And so I told the coach off. I said, don't let her do that. I said, what if everyone did that? You're going to be talking to a blank screen. She goes, oh, no. I said, she's got one baby. It's not a crocodile, right? So either you have a chat to her or I'll have a chat to her. Like, when you let people down, when you let people get away with stuff, you're letting them down. Like, and this is the thing, the meeting's the same time every week. It's not a bloody surprise. Either don't show up or show up. And then I say, well, if you don't show up, how is that fair to the other 5 people in the group? Because you should all be contributing. She said to me, well, there was another one not there. I said, right, well, give me his number too.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the difference, because I don't have to hang on to them because I'm hanging on to their money. I'm giving them the smack across the head that they don't want to have, so that they get the result they do want. And that's the difference, I think. And to me, I say, well, you've been there and you've been there and you've been there. And they say, I'm being coached. I think, no, you're not, because you're paying $300 a month. That's not coaching. That's like a mentoring group. It's not coaching. To me, a coach is standing beside the line saying, move back, he's going to throw the ball over there. You know? And to see what you can't see. Whereas when you're in a community, that's different. It's not the same. And so we've got to really shine the light on them. And to be honest, some of them don't like that. And that's why I know they don't like me. But I think, well, you're still, and I see you pop up there with that coach, and then I see you pop up there and you're a serial coach hopper.
Yeah.
No different to relationships, isn't it? If after the 2-year mark, you keep leaving after the 2-year mark, well, that's when life gets normal, and it's kind of how relationships go. So you've either got to learn the strategies to make the candle still flicker, or accept that that's what it is. And so I think the thing that's missing the most is the accountability. And the other thing that I feel we're really good at is the numbers, so they can actually see where the money's being made, and then they can make decisions. The thing that they do mostly is they hang on to team members that aren't suitable, right? So I say you've got to educate them up or off. So I say get in the pig pen with me and learn, or get off the farm, one or the other, right? And so when you've been here and here and they brag, I've had this and I've had this, and I go, yeah, but tell me what your average dollar sale is. I don't know. How many clients you see last week? I don't know. I go, well, what did they teach you? Yeah. But the trouble is they ask and cherry pick what they want, and the coach is too scared to say, well, that's actually not what you want.
Correct.
So Yeah, and that's what I get the most frustrated with is they compare me to others and I think, no, sorry, that doesn't work like that, you know? And a lot of them don't do, like we do fortnightly meetings and then you've got 2 weeks to get your jobs done. Plus we check in and we have groups and things like that as well. So it's a combination of, and our groups, the biggest group's 12. Like some of these, there's one person on the screen and 100. Like how would you possibly know? I call that monologue. It's a one-way conversation. It's not a dialogue at all, right? And people looking at you, staring at the screen, and you need to be, how can you possibly go, that woman's got no idea what I'm talking about if there's 100 on the screen? You have no idea. So it's one-sided, you know, and if you don't submit your numbers every week, so we have 4 things you have to do. You've got to submit your numbers every week to us, and if you don't, we'll ring you up, say, where are your numbers? And if we have to keep ringing up, we go, what are you paying me for? You got to know what we call a break even. So we need to know all the money that you'll need to have. So 7,486 is your break even. You're doing 8,000, right? So they have to do that. They have to have one-to-one meetings with their team members every week outside the salon, right? And you have to have a plan. You can't, I'm not in here to fix your drama. You have to say, I want to work 25 hours on the floor by June. That's a plan. Right? And then everything you do will come back towards that. But if you don't have a plan going, I just want to earn a bit more money, then all right, earn another $1. Done. Next, what else have you got? So that's why I think I was so lucky to have Bruce in the beginning, because he kicked my ass and he changed the way I thought and realised that I was the result of every drama I had. And if I became, you know, more flexible, more nurturing, I would get different results for different people. And in the end, that's what it is. Spend time with your team so the money shows up.
Amazing. Lisa, I have one last question for you. I'm very mindful of your time. Tell me about the books. Why put coaching into pages?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I did a course years ago. It's called Key Person of Influence. And I was always wanted to write a book. And so Bruce, my coach, said, you should look at this company because they're teaching people how to write books. And so I went and to like a day where they showed you all of their, it was like a, you know, a sell-in day. So I went there, and I'd always wanted to write a book because I just thought, I'm getting tired of telling people the same shit, basically. And so what's really good about the book is you read the book or you don't, right? So that's one of our doors. If you don't read the book, off you go. Come back when you read the book. So it gets rid of the tire kickers. They say, oh, I don't read a book. I think, yeah, either do I. Right? This is a book. It's, I say to everyone, it's not a proper book because I wrote the bloody thing. And it's actually funny stories that'll make you laugh. Like, people just love it. The amount of people that send you a random text or a thing going, oh, you're so funny. I just read that bit about your mum feeding the dog and it's hilarious or whatever. But there's lessons in it, right? So the reason I wrote the book was because I thought I'm going to go insane repeating myself. And the other thing is it's a wonderful trick because they pay me $30 and then they read the book and then they fall in love with the way I think. So either way, you're in the pig pen with me and I can teach you, or you get off the farm. So either way it works. And so the first one was really a marketing strategy to get people to understand what I did. And then the second one was teams, because I felt like a lot of people were reading the book were single operators. And I thought, well, that's not really who we work with. We do if you want to grow a team. But if you want to be a backyard, you know, onesie person, that's really, a lot of our content is about how to be a leader. So if there's no one in the team, you can't lead. So the second one was about team, because I thought, well, I need to get in front of the people who want to grow a team, because that's really my audience. So that was the second one. And then the third one was another marketing strategy to get in front of the product companies, because I couldn't believe that the amount of time that they have with their clients, they still can't teach them how to do retail.
Correct.
I know, but it's because they're in a tricky position. Because if they go, what are you doing, you dickhead? You're not even selling any of this product. Like the salon owner would go, don't speak to me like that. Whereas I can say that, or we can say, no, this is how you do it. And I'll tell you what you do. You do this and then you do this. Whereas I feel the salon is a bit dubious of the person who owns the product company or their rep, because they think there's something in it for the rep. So that's why they want you to sell their product, which is actually not true. There's something in it for everyone, including the client. And so there's a bit of a myth. I think it's changing now. I think product companies didn't even want to know who I was because, and to be honest, some of them, the heritage brands, really only care to sell tint. They don't care to sell retail products. So that's a bit ordinary. But yeah, just another reason of putting all my content, and when you be talking, people go, "Oh, you're such a a mountain of information. You should write a book." And so I suppose if people say it enough, you kind of listen. I guess, I don't know.
Incredible. Lisa, thank you so much for spending the morning with me this morning. It's been just divine being able to pick your brain and hear about all of your words of wisdom and lots of little bits and pieces in there that our business owners and audience can definitely take away and put into their business. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I always say to everybody, when you're feeling like it's tough, just think, you know what? If it was that easy, anyone could do it. It's not easy. And if you have this fire in your belly to keep going, then keep going. Of course, you're going to have shitty days. But you know what? There's a reason why you're in this position. There's a reason why you're trying to get to the other side. And I say it's just crocodile-infested waters. Just keep swimming as fast as you can and get to the other side. And so, people think it's easy. It's not easy. No one said it was easy. And even working for someone is not easy, because then you have no say. So being a salon owner means you have all the say, and that can be good and that can be pretty scary. So keep swimming.
Wise advice. Thanks so much, Lisa.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
What a dynamic woman. What I appreciate the most about Lisa is that she so solidly knows who she is, what her work does, and the people that she wants to work with, and doesn't stray from that. It's not often you hear about coaches qualifying their clients, but Lisa and the team at Zing are only aligned with the people who want to put in the time and effort to do the work, which I love. You can find more about Lisa and the Zing coaches by searching for them on the gram at the.zing.project, and also too by clicking through the link in the show notes if you would like to grab yourself a copy of Lisa's books mentioned in today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode with Lisa, and as always, if you've loved the conversation, let us know by sharing this episode across your stories, showing us how you listen, and tagging us at Beauty Industry and myself at Tamara Shaw Reid. If you're new to the podcast, hello, welcome. Come on, join us over in the Facebook group, our Beauty Industry community, where we are having progressive and proactive, inclusive conversations about the professional beauty industry. A nice little space to be on social media at a time like this. Until next time, stay connected.